What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Sunday Yellowstone recap. Before we get into the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to follow me on all the social media pages. Go check out some of the other videos I have posted. And without any further ado, let's get into the video. Coming off of last Sunday's episode, we really had a more intense episode. The way that last week ended was just perfect, in my opinion, because I did not like that lady. And on top of that, it really picked up for the season. We now transition into tonight, and tonight was more of a somber, more leaving the episode at the end with where do we go now? Now, during this episode, we do see the return of Jimmy, and we get to see the news of John Dutton's death start to kind of trickle down into the areas. And then all of a sudden, within 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we have a death on the Yellowstone. Now, we're not going to go into who died or how they died. I will not give spoilers about that. But it is a death that, in my opinion, was kind of shocking because I really like the character, and ultimately the demise was there. But with this episode, I think they did a great job of actually putting Rip's perspective of the whole situation out there. Now, if you look back even into last week, we really didn't get to see a side of Rip and how he was feeling. And kind of where his mind was. But in essence, Rip being John Dutton's right-hand man and helping John Dutton in many ways throughout his time as a child up to now, you're starting to see Rip's side of emotion. You're starting to really see where Rip's mindset is. He's watching something that he loves and he's so passionate about really just start to crumble. What he had before is now being taken away from him. He's having to manage how the ranch is going to go in the future. And so this ultimately leads to Rip's mindset, and we see it multiple times in this episode. The other aspect of this episode that we see is Lloyd and others really start to question what the future of Yellowstone is. And I think this is a perfect point where this comes into play because we only have 2 episodes left. Now, the one thing I will point out that shocked me a little bit was we didn't get a whole lot of Jamie in this episode. Jamie kind of dominated the beginning, but then Jamie kind of went away. And so it really has you wondering from a perspective of, where does the whole John Dutton thing fall with Jamie? We all have watched, we all are able to see what we know, but it's how does Sheridan write the last 2 episodes? How are we going to sit back and see where they put Jamie's role in this whole situation? Now, as the episode closes, we see Kayce go back to his training, his military roots, and really take things into his own hands. Now, he doesn't do anything what I would call violent, but he sends a message. And I think it really tied in well with, if you remember in the last episode, him and tribal leaders were really looking at on the walk of, you got to find what the outcome you need is. And so really Kayce is having to kind of manage and look at it from the perspective of, does he choose his family or does he choose the ranch? And tonight, I really feel like this episode shows that he's going to choose both. And he's going to do whatever it takes to do so. And so, like I said, I'm not going to go into further details of certain events. But I feel like this episode really has us set up for where the next 2 episodes will go. I feel that we needed a kind of somber moment because we had to kind of reflect on what we just saw last week. And so, what I feel like this episode did in comparison to the first two, even though it was a little slower pace, it provided more detail. It provided the emotion. And it allowed you to look at the current situation from the perspective of how are people feeling since the death of John Dutton. Now, one instance and one thing that I still find very interesting is it doesn't feel like the people in Texas are aware. So yes, Jimmy will ultimately come back and find out, but what do the people in Texas know? Rip has been now home. He's managing things on the ranch for the time being. What do they know? And ultimately, from a viewer's perspective, we are all able to see what we all know. But it's one of those of where does Sheridan write the last two episodes? Ultimately, who is going to meet their demise? Will it be Beth in the ranch or Jamie in the Dutton legacy that he was trying to build on his own? And so I really hope that these last two episodes continue to build on what we see and they don't drift away. But episode 4 is out now. Reshowing is tonight at 10 o'clock. Make sure to go check out the other videos I have posted. I don't just do the Yellowstone videos. I do movie reviews. That's the main thing. But like I've said before, the Yellowstone, it being my favorite TV show out right now and really within the last couple years, it's just something to do, something to give a perspective on. So drop a comment. Let me know where you think the last two episodes are going to go. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to continue following along. Thank you all for the support, and I will talk to you all later.